Tell us a bit more about Bernie Sanders. Is he further to the left than Elizabeth Warren?
Well, he's calls himself a socialist, which is something Elizabeth Warren doesn't do, but there's not a whole lot of daylight between Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren on a whole range of issues. They both believe in breaking up the nation's biggest banks. They're big supporters of raising the minimum wage. They're big advocates for more action on climate change. So there isn't a whole lot of daylight, again, between those two folks. There is some daylight between Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton, and that's why his entry into this race is so interesting, why it might push Hillary Clinton, of course, to the left, may force her to take some positions on issues she might otherwise not want to take given the general election to come. But by and large, this proves that it's not going to be a coronation for Hillary Clinton. She's going to at least face some token opposition, and that may be a plus in the end for Hillary Clinton rather than a detriment.
All right, Mark, there's nothing more than we like than headlines, little issues rising up. How big of a deal is this really?
Well, it's long been expected he'd run. It's a big deal because he represents the aspirations of tens of millions of Americans in the Democratic Party on the left. Not a majority. He's going to have to work hard to expand the people who know about him and are interested in him. But it does put a lot of pressure on Hillary Clinton. Not because Bernie Sanders has a good chance to beat her, but because she has already shown in her brief time in the campaign she is spooked, maybe too strong a word, but she's very aware of pressure from the left, and this will put more on her.
All right, so if Bernie steps up to the plate, does this mean the door is open and we're going to see more?
Well, look, I think there's 3 or 4 other guys who are thinking of getting in, and all of them will present different kinds of challenges to her. None of them will raise anything like her money. None of them, I think, will rise in the polls anytime soon. But all of them have an opportunity to threaten her. And if she stumbles, and if they put more pressure on her, I think you may see a more heavyweight candidate get in who could beat her, like Joe Biden.
Wasn't Elizabeth Warren already doing the job that Bernie Sanders is supposedly about to do?
Well, certainly Elizabeth Warren has put pressure on Hillary Clinton, but it's different. Look, Sanders has been to New Hampshire, I think, 9 times, going back again this weekend. Iowa,
next door neighbor, right?
Yeah, that's right. And Iowa, New Hampshire in particular, those are the venues where Hillary Clinton, who's been to each once, is going to have to fight for voters. And in both those places, you see a lot of liberal activists who, if you took the names off, you took the resumes off, took the genders off, and said, here's what Bernie Sanders is saying now, and here's what Hillary Clinton's saying now, a lot of them would prefer Bernie Sanders' platform to Hillary Clinton's.
Peter, do you actually think we could see a debate between the two?
I do think we'll see a debate between the two. I think Bernie Sanders is already looking forward to it. I'm not so sure Hillary Clinton's looking forward to it. But I want to echo Mark's point. You know, I spend a lot of time up in Vermont. I fly up there a lot, quite often, with Senator Sanders. This is someone incredibly popular in that state. He won his last race by 71% of the vote. Vermont is not the nation, to be sure, but there are a lot of Vermonters who would fit in quite well in the Democratic caucus over in Democratic primary over in New Hampshire, and might fit in well in Iowa in the caucus setting. So he's been underestimated before. I think he's hoping people underestimate him this time around. I think he's looking to be more than just a pest to Hillary Clinton.
Mark, wouldn't you expect to see, I mean, this is kind of a good thing, isn't it, for Hillary to have a challenger? I mean, she can't just expect to be coronated, number one, and she can't expect to compete against the Republicans without having kind of debated.
That's a challenger that's not really a challenger.
No, but he's articulate, he's smart, he's clever.
You can make the argument either way, right? Challenges are good for her. They keep it from looking like a coronation, take some of the focus off of her, allow her to look more centrist, which will help her with some voters even in the nomination fight. Where is it bad? It's bad if they do damage to her. If they beat her, long shot, but not impossible. If they extend the nomination fight, if they drag her so far to the left that she looks inauthentic and has trouble getting back to the center to win a general election, there are all sorts of reasons why it's a bad thing. I think on balance, she'd prefer not to have any opposition.
Of course she wouldn't. Does Bernie Sanders have his own Ben & Jerry's flavor?
I think he does, but I don't remember what it's called.
I mean, he's got the ingredients.
I think he does.
Vermont, socialist.
I believe he does.
Peter, does he?
Hey, Steph, he's certainly spent some time there. I can't attest to the actual flavor, but I can tell you, you drive through Vermont, you see barns in Vermont with Bernie written across the side of the barn. Remember, his race was in 2012. That's up there full time. He's a very popular guy there, whether he's got an ice cream flavor or not.
Don't underestimate his intelligence, and don't underestimate the authenticity he brings to the race. That is part of the problem for Hillary Clinton now, is matching up against a guy who goes out and talks about the power of corporations, the tax code, etc., in a way that is unbridled and from the heart. She needs to do more of that. And
does she have the skill set to do more of that?
She's pretty good yesterday in talking about criminal justice. She's not able to do it regularly. Maybe Bernie Sanders will inspire her to do it better.